Previously on Pints and Politics. You mentioned Pandora and Spotify, which are streaming radio services. In the past, there's been a clear delineation between sort of digital buying, which was in the beginning display ads that you could click on, and now pre-roll. But now the line has become blurred between, like in an agency, you have to decide, is Pandora something that the radio people buy, or is it something that digital people buy? And over-the-top television, is that a digital buy, or is that a TV buy?
I think it depends on what agency you're working with. Because I think what you guys have done and what we've done is we've planned things from a more integrated perspective, where you have a full digital team and a full traditional team in-house, where it kind of happens organically. Sometimes a traditional buyer might do it, sometimes a digital buyer might do it. I think there are other firms that go out there and they only place digital, or they only place television and radio and things like that. And I think that becomes a little bit of a conflict of interest for the campaign, because you have people who are only fighting for that piece of the pie, where you have to look more holistically at what is the goal and how do you get there. So I think the organic piece and building that integrated team is important.
I think you're exactly right. And the advice to the students that might become candidates or might become campaign managers is that our job is to be media advisors, to come up with the best media plan for you. As far as I'm concerned, at our agency, we're media agnostic. Mm-hmm. I want to know how an audience is consuming media, and however they're doing it, that's where I'm going to try to find them. I'm not loyal to TV or to radio or digital. I'm loyal to the audience, and then we're going to go and get them wherever they are. I think it's an interesting point about how, if media budgets are siloed by agency and media type, the digital agency, the radio agency, the TV agency, then you create that conflict of interest, because certain people will argue for certain pieces of the budget to increase their bottom line. We've had that conversation internally. If we are only on the TV side, then as far as we're concerned, OTT is a television product. But if we're only on the digital side, OTT is certainly a digital product.
But there is that struggle between the digital publishers and the digital buyers and digital consultants who think that they're always being shortchanged by TV, that they should have a larger portion of the pie. And the share of digital has been going up. Mm-hmm. TV versus digital, I mean, where do you think and it varies from campaign to campaign, obviously. In a big metro area, if you're a congressional candidate, you're going to spend more on digital and cable because TV's wasteful. But where do you think that breakout is percentage-wise now, or range?
If you're looking at an average, I would say TV still gets probably in that 60 to 70% range. On the Trump campaign, at the time we worked with them, we only worked with them for 7 weeks. But it was about 50-50 TV and digital. And radio, the only radio we did was local radio spots wherever Trump was traveling. So
to promote the rallies.
If they come to my rally spot. So the amount of money we spent was nominal on radio. It wasn't a campaign message, it was an attendance message.
Well, that's one thing about digital, is that in the book we talk about how the Trump and Clinton campaigns tracked each other's television advertising, which is a highly developed art. I mean, there's a lot of information there. Mm-hmm. But when somebody's doing digital, it's not easy to see how much they're spending. Because when the campaign was over, I was stunned that Trump spent almost 50% of his money on digital, because nobody was aware of that.
And the only reason we knew it is because the guy that was directing us was the digital buyer. His office and his shop.
Yeah, it was the first time that a digital guy was running the whole ad operation and telling you what to do on TV.
He wasn't technically the campaign manager at the time, but for all practical purposes and us dealing with him, he was. And he was approving our budgets.
And on the Clinton campaign did their digital stuff in the house, mostly, which is what the Trump campaign did. So it's easier to do digital stuff in-house than it is to execute television buy, simply because of the bureaucracy and forms you got to fill out. And
I think you can get somebody who's relatively young out of college who has skills in terms of working with the platforms, you can get them kind of schooled up pretty quickly in terms of how you do this, as long as you have somebody in place that can lead that. But yeah, we worked as a team with the Hillary folks to kind of figure out how this budget moved around, and it all came down to how people are using media. I mean, because I think there are a lot of folks, us included, who would like to buy more digital video, more video that's over the top on set-top boxes, devices, and things like that. The problem right now is generally scale and the availability for those spots. Viewership is rising, but when you think of the competitors in the marketplace where you would actually go and find an inventory, Netflix isn't one of them, and Netflix makes up 50% of streaming video.
That's a big problem.
Viewing. Amazon is another one, HBO is another one. So when you get past all those, you have 65 or 70% of the marketplace, which is not viable. Mm-hmm. And so when you are left with the rest, and you're trying to buy really quality inventory, you want to buy as much as you can, but there you cap out. Same with cable. Cable only has 2 minutes an hour, which we just talked about. You can't buy more there. So in the end, when you have this influx of money that comes in the end of a campaign, because people get more energized, people are ready to start giving to the campaigns, and then you have to kind of get that money in a communication device, television ends up being that number one place for it to go. I think if there was a strategy where folks could plan out further in advance and start, instead of starting, after Labor Day, but maybe you're starting in June or July, if the money is available, then that should be an opportunity for them to kind of really be more targeted in a longer term fashion. So
we should run a campaign for Netflix or Amazon or HBO in every competitive political market this fall, saying, if you're tired of seeing political ads, use our service. We should call those guys.
Dan, you don't even have cable.
That's right. That's right.
A major media buyer doesn't even have cable.
That's right.